Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be speaking to you about how I got into Cambridge and some best tips to help you achieve your dreams and get into the university of your dreams as well. So number one, when it comes to applying to Cambridge, they have a college system. So if you're applying as an undergraduate, you apply to college and you apply to the specific college that has the course that you want to do. In my case, I am a postgraduate and I'm going to speak in this video about the postgraduate application process. And I'm going to speak to you guys about what I went through. So the postgraduate application process is you apply straight to your department. I'm doing a master's in business and entrepreneurship, so I applied to the business school. In Cambridge, it's known as the Judge Business School. So as a postgraduate, I applied directly to the business school, and then I got given a college when I found out that I got into the course. The reason I actually didn't put a college preference down was because during my undergraduate at the University of Melbourne, I went to Ormond College. They have a college system just like Cambridge. So I had that Harry Potter experience already, and I wanted to live in a different kind of environment. Just to clarify, college is where you do all your social activities, where you eat, how you live, you can rent your room, you can do social, you can play sport for your college and do a variety of other things. And the university is comprised of all these different colleges and your departments as well. And basically, so for postgraduate, I applied to the department and got Wolfson College. Which I'm very, very happy with. It's highly international. So the first thing that when it comes to applying to Cambridge is, number one, is obviously your grades. And when it comes to your grades, we're talking about your undergraduate scores and also your GRE or GMAT scores when it comes to applying to business school. I did the GRE and I got 166 for quant and 161 for verbal, which comes up to a 710 on the GMAT. It's in the top 10% of test takers in the world, so it was a good score and something I felt fairly comfortable with regard to applying for it. The resources that I use, I will link them down below. Actually, the resources that I use, if you want to know more about them, I'll do a separate video on them. Essentially, you have to get a very good score for your GRE or your GMAT and then reasonable undergraduate scores. If one is weaker than the other, you can usually make up for like if you're weaker in your undergrad scores, obviously you can't go back in time and change it. So you can make up for it by getting a really high GRE or GMAT score. And if your undergraduate scores are very high and your GRE scores are low, that's fine. But obviously you want them both to be high as well, as high as possible, obviously. The second thing I did when it came to my applications is that I actually highlighted the fact that I was a professional athlete for 4 years in my application. So I'm the first Sri Lankan in history to run a marathon on every single continent. I've also done an Ironman as well. I really highlighted those in my applications and I made myself stand out as a candidate. In my class as well, like that's something that people actually bring up right now when I'm actually in Cambridge. People actually ask me lots of questions about that, and the business that I'm going to start is actually going to be built based off of that. So if you have something basically that makes you stand out, makes you special, something different, something that nobody else has done, then maybe you're writing a book, maybe you have maybe you've written a paper or a thesis for something, maybe you've done an internship with the company or you've volunteered at a society or a charity. Definitely put those in your application. It really helps you stand out. The third thing I want to talk to you guys about is work experience. For masters in business, it's obviously better if you have a good work experience. I used to work as the head of fitness for a multinational company in the past, and that was a really good role because I actually worked both in Sri Lanka and the Philippines for 2 months as well. And I worked in Sri Lanka for 10 months and the Philippines for 2 months. And that was a really good role because I spent the year working both in Sri Lanka and the Philippines, and it was an amazing role. It was like a dream job actually. I got to work out and teach other people how to work out, and I got paid for it, which was awesome. It was a lot more than that. I managed a group of 20 people and did the operational management and the financial management as well. So if you have good solid work experience, I would really recommend highlighting the best role that you've had, or the role that you've most enjoyed, the role that you felt that where you made the most impact. And if you do that, then you can really build a well-rounded application. The final piece of the puzzle, I would say, is also getting your recommendation letters right. Now, I picked some really good recommenders. I picked one of my professors from University of Melbourne. He was the head of Ormond College, and he's a tenured professor. So I picked really good professors in the sense for my recommendation letters. So number one is I picked the vice president of the company that I used to work for as my professional referee. So I actually was very deliberate and very careful in the referees that I picked. So for my professional referee, I picked the vice president of the company that I used to work for. So it was a really good reference and a really good person to get a reference from. And then for my personal reference, and my sporting reference, I picked the head of Ormond College to do that, because he knew me as in a more personal sense, and that was also really good. So I would highly recommend getting those two parts of your application down pat correctly. Because the course I'm doing is actually a 2-year course, and you actually have to start your business as part of the course. I would highly recommend linking your business to part of your story. Like for me, I want to start a sports nutrition company with protein shakes, electrolyte drinks, and carbohydrate sachets for endurance athletes and mountain climbers and etc. Because I have a background in nutrition, I understand the market, I'm an athlete myself. I know what they want and what they need, and it's kind of the perfect thing for me to do in order for me to leverage the brand that I have built for myself as an athlete and as a business person and entrepreneur, and go into this market. So I highly suggest linking things together and making sure they fit, and making sure your referees also know this, so you can put it all together in a comprehensive application. The final thing I also recommend is that if you're an international student, this applies if you're an international student, I would highly recommend using that in your application. So I'm a Sri Lankan and an Australian. I'm a dual citizen, so I actually use this fact quite well. So I applied on my Sri Lankan passport for my application, but for the visa I actually use my Australian passport, because on my Australian passport I can actually live, work, study and travel or anything in the UK full time for my 2-year program. So I actually can work while studying, and given that my course is actually part-time, and because it's part-time because I get to start my business as part of it, I can actually work in a company in the UK and work on my business while doing this course, which is actually perfect. It gives me so much time to network, it gives me so much time to write my book, so much time to do YouTube like I'm doing right now, and give value to you guys. Highly recommend thinking about this and thinking if there's a way where you can leverage your personal situation in order to enhance your application and enhance your chances of getting in. Alright guys, that's my video. That's essentially the nuts and bolts of the application that I put together, and that's how I got into Cambridge. I will do more videos on the university and what life is like here later on. If you guys like this content, please do subscribe by hitting the subscribe button, and hit the bell button as well, so you're notified every single time a new video comes out, guys. Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.